The 2027 class wasted no time shaking up the Devy fantasy football landscape. We have some big performances from the first 2 weeks of the college football season. Now it's time to adjust and react accordingly. We're going to work through 5 of the biggest impact players and what you should be doing with them in your Devy league. Jeremiah Smith came in with high hype, and he has far exceeded that. This is an Ohio State wide receiver room that has a very talented Carnell Tate, has a very talented Emeka Egbuka, and yet Smith is the standout wide receiver from the first 2 weeks here with the Buckeyes. And now I got to tell you, I did bump Jeremiah Smith up over the course of the offseason because the Ohio State beat was so high on him, but I didn't even expect this level of instant impact. Over the first 2 games, Smith has 11 receptions for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns. That might look impressive, but his actual game film looks even more impressive. He is an explosive, big play threat. He's got good hands. He's fast after the catch. He's already shown good route running ability relative to his age, and he definitely can separate into space. You're matching that up with a 6'3", 215-pound frame. And remember, he's 18 years old, folks. He has time to grow and build into the frame that he already has. We're talking about a long lineage of impact wide receivers from Ohio State, making a difference in the league. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, Jeremiah Smith, I hate to sound hyperbolic, but folks, he has a chance to be the best of all of them. I have moved Jeremiah Smith up to Devy wide receiver 1 between the 2026 and 2027 classes. I tweeted out that he is a top 10 overall Devy player locked, and a lot of folks responded saying that I added an extra 0. He should be the number 1 overall player. I still am proceeding with a little bit of caution relative to this, but if you have a rebuild roster in your Devy league and you don't have Jeremiah Smith on that roster already, you need to make it a point to get him on that squad because his price is not going down, folks. This is only the start. I've been equally impressed with Nebraska quarterback Dylan Railoa. He has really impressed me over the first 2 weeks of his career. Folks, I can't stress enough how difficult it is stepping into the quarterback position in particular at 18 years old. Dylan Railoa coming in with a lot of hype, a lot of expectations. I mean, Nebraska hasn't had a recruit, and especially not a quarterback recruit to his caliber in rememberable history, right? So Railoa is coming in with a ton of pressure, and he has lived up to it with extreme poise and command over the first couple weeks of the season. Now, Railoa, 6'3", 230, is making an instant impact. He's got really nice mechanics, again, for a true freshman. He's got to hone him in a little bit, but I think overall his footwork and his throwing motion are really solid, and I love his ability to be an athletic improviser. Now, Railoa is not the speediest, pure running quarterback, but he moves the pocket very well. He's light on his feet, and he can work those improvised arm angles that are becoming a critical part of quarterback evaluation at this point, right? You look at a guy like Pat Mahomes, he was a difference maker, he was a trendsetter, and now college freshmen coming in at the quarterback position are learning and training how to throw with these improvised arm angles, and Dylan Railoa absolutely understands how to do that. In fact, Dylan Railoa shares a trainer with Pat Mahomes. We all saw that picture going viral of him showing up to move-in day at Nebraska, looking very similar to Pat Mahomes. I think Railoa, man, on game day is starting to really believe that he is Mahomes because he plays with a level of confidence that's very impressive. 74% completion. We can leave it at that. We could just talk about 74% completion for Dylan Railoa over his first 2 games, and that would be impressive enough for a true freshman quarterback. But he's also thrown 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions and 423 passing yards. Now, the schedule will get tougher. He played UTEP week 1 and arguably a worse defense, Colorado, in week 2. He's got a full Big Ten schedule ahead. I don't think he's going to come out unscathed. We're going to see some bad decisions. We're going to see some interceptions. And so my suggestion to you is actually to wait on Dylan Raiola. If you don't have him on your roster, I would prioritize adding him, but wait till mid-October, wait till November. He's going to learn a lot through the season. We've seen the traits to be excited about, but wait for that stat line to drop a little bit naturally as he plays really tough defenses, and then invest him at that point, because I expect that although he's coming out with a strong freshman year start, we're going to be even more excited about him going into his sophomore and junior year. So Raiola, for me, right now he's in the quarterback one battle in the rankings update. He's tied with another 2027 quarterback because DJ Lagway came out and impressed against Florida A&M. And listen, let's get it out of the way. I know it's Florida A&M, right? So yeah, you can take the stats with a grain of salt, but what I saw from him in terms of his arm talent, in terms of his athleticism, you could put that up against Florida A&M. You could put that up against Alabama, right? It's going to show up in very similar ways. And I saw DJ Lagway with an absolute rocket, but also firing with velocity, firing with confidence, not afraid to step up and make a pass. And he's definitely athletic as well. Lagway, in a similar way to Raiola, shows the ability to improvise. He went 72% completion for 456 yards and 3 touchdowns in his debut against Florida A&M. And he lived up to that top quarterback hype. Depending on who you are, what ranking service you're using, it was DJ Lagway or Dylan Raiola for quarterback one. I don't think that we have a clear answer for which one of these guys is quarterback one. But the fact that they have both showed up and showed out early in their careers, that's a good sign overall for the 2027 class. I wouldn't worry about Raiola versus Lagway. I would take a moment and appreciate the fact that we're excited about both of these guys at this point in time. And Lagway, for me, he's got to be the starting quarterback moving forward. I don't think that Billy Napier can go back to Graham Mertz, even if he clears concussion protocol. DJ Lagway, I think, is going to be the starting quarterback moving forward, and he could build some really nice hype because he's got Texas A&M. That's a tough matchup. If he plays even solid against Texas A&M, that's a big check mark. He could shred the Mississippi State defense. Florida could get into a shootout against UCF, and then he's got a chance to show up against Tennessee in Neyland. If Lagway came to that Tennessee game with some hype and performed well, he would be probably locked into that quarterback one situation. So it's going to be really interesting to see this Lagway versus Raiola battle over the next month or so. But either way, two very good positives from the first couple weeks of the college football season at the quarterback position. If you're enjoying this video and want to get more in-depth advice for your Devy leagues, you can head on over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard. That's where you're going to find my full Devy rankings for the 2026 and 2027 classes. That's where you're going to find my 2025 rookie class rankings, my dynasty rankings, exclusive patron-only Devy articles, one that comes out every Thursday that gives you a preview for everything you should watch the upcoming week from a Devy lens, and then one that comes out each week spotlighting a Devy value that you need to take advantage of in your league. You can get all of that and personalized advice in the Rookie Big Board Discord for just $5 a month over at patreon.com/rookiebig. But let's talk about wide receiver here. And I got to tell you, there were a lot of options past Jeremiah Smith to talk about. You could have talked about a great game against App State from Clemson wide receiver Bryant Wesco. You could have talked about a really solid first 2 weeks for Cam Coleman, the wide receiver out of Auburn, with some really big games. Hey, sneakily, I really like what we're seeing from Ryan Wingo out of Texas. Just the fact he's getting on the field and getting touches, showing big playability and a loaded depth chart in front of him, that's a big check mark as well. But let's put all of them aside and let's talk about Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams. 6'0", 175. He is a game-changing talent, and he's standing out right away in the Alabama wide receiver room. He's looking explosive. He can separate. He is speedy for sure. Against USF, he led the Crimson Tide. True freshman, Ryan Williams, leading the Crimson Tide. 4 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Against Western Kentucky, now, just 2 receptions for Ryan Williams, right? Okay, 2 receptions doesn't sound too exciting. How about they were both touchdowns and they were for 139 yards combined? And I think Ryan Williams is going to continue to stand out over the course of this season. He's a really exciting player, and I did bump him up to my 2027 second overall player right now. Of course, we talked about Jeremiah Smith. He's locked and loaded in that wide receiver 1 spot and 1 overall spot. But I'm very excited about the wide receiver, Ryan Williams, out of Alabama. And then a guy I think is floating under the radar a little bit. We need to give some love to the running back position. How about Texas running back Jerick Gibson, who is stepping up right away in the volume left behind by that CJ Baxter injury? Now, rightfully so, all the Jaden Blue truthers got excited. Once CJ Baxter went down because it gave Jaden Blue a 7th life for Devy value. I hope you flipped while you could. That was my advice, because Jerick Gibson, the true freshman, is outplaying Jaden Blue. He's out rushing him in terms of production, and I think he's outplaying him in terms of the eye test. When I see Jerick Gibson, I see a twitchy runner. I see a guy with good vision. He's run the ball 20 times for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns over the course of the first 2 weeks. Now, of course, he looked better against Colorado State than Michigan. Michigan has one of the best, if not the best, front fours that Texas is going to play all year. So just the fact that he was able to go out, have solid production, contribute, and still outperform Jaden Blue in that Michigan game, that's a big check mark for me when it comes to Jerick Gibson. He's got good size, 5'10", 205, and right now, he is the running back 1 in my 2027 ranking. So overall, big stock up on the 2027 class. And I'm not just saying that. I proceed with caution when it comes to freshmen and getting too excited about their value, especially given the fact that if you're trading for these guys, right, you're probably trading a little bit more proven, a higher floor guys that are juniors or 2025 class eligible, or possibly even an NFL talent. For the 5 guys we've talked about today, I think it's worth getting excited about. I think it's worth investing in early because their value is only going to go up from this point in time. If you want to get access to my full Devy rankings, the dynasty rankings, personalized advice via the Rookie Big Board Discord, and weekly Devy watch preview articles, as well as bi-weekly Devy feature articles available for just Rookie Big Board patrons, you can head on over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard and get access to all of that content. And if you just want to ask a question about any of the players we talked about or any other Devy player over the course of the first 2 weeks, feel free to drop your question in the comments. Give the video a like, and I appreciate you checking out this episode.